You guys probably heard that the Mueller testimony was happening today.
I watched some of it, and it was so tedious that I could not. I got to tell you, here's how every fucking question went.
Okay.
And I shit you not, this is exactly how it went down.
Uh-huh.
Mr. Mueller, on page 276 of the indictment paperwork that we have here, or not the indictment, whatever, you know, on page 276 of the report, you say that there was substantial evidence to support an obstruction narrative. What did you mean by that?
I'm actually not going to comment on that.
Okay, and on page 415, you say that Donald Trump engaged in, quote, significant activities that would belie an underlying obstruction narrative. What can you say about that? What did you mean by that?
I'm actually not going to go into that.
Like, he literally answered, I'd say, 10% of the questions he was asked. It was a total dog and pony show.
Of course.
For the Democratic Party to come in and try and get him to say something that isn't already in the shit we've all seen.
So, here was the thing that a lot of the liberals have been focusing on, and I'll get to the stuff the conservatives have been focusing on as well. So this is Mueller to Congress. Trump could be charged with the crime after he leaves office. That's something he said today.
Oh, shit.
Ooh,
So
damn.
the exchange was, could you charge the president with a crime after he left office? Buck asked. We're talking about Representative Ken Buck of Colorado, I guess. Could you charge the president with a crime after he left office? Buck asked. Yes, Mueller replied. You believe that he committed, you could charge the president of the United States with obstruction of justice after he left office? Buck asked. Yes, Mueller replied. So that's it. That's the big...
It's a giant open-ended question.
Yeah.
It's you say you could charge the president of the United States with obstruction of justice after he left office. Yes. Yeah. That doesn't mean Trump. That doesn't mean he will. That doesn't... It's like a total non-committal, nothing sandwich from Mueller.
Look, unless our political system has a massive political upheaval, like, neither party is interested in fucking prosecuting the former president. Even fucking Richard Nixon got away with it.
Anyway, so then this is Breitbart, right-wing source. Live updates. Robert Mueller testifies on Trump-Russia report findings. So the main thing that they focused on, as far as I could tell, was him not knowing about some stuff that I guess he should have, some sources listed in the report. Former special counsel Robert Mueller on Wednesday is testifying before congressional lawmakers regarding his investigation into now debunked criminal conspiracy between the 2016 Trump campaign and Russia. Mueller will testify, blah, blah, blah. We already know he's testifying. Here's Trump's tweet here. So Democrats and others can illegally fabricate a crime, try pinning it on a very innocent president, and when he fights back against this illegal and treasonous attack on our country, they call it obstruction. Wrong. Why didn't Robert Mueller investigate the investigator?
Yeah!
Huh?
Sounds right to me.
Huh? Why not
Lock
investigate
them up.
the investigators? Huh? So, this story, it looks like they updated it since I pulled it here. This is the big thing I've been hearing about, this fusion GPS thing. You guys know about this?
No.
Not really.
I've never heard about it until today. Apparently, it was the source for something in the report, but when Mueller was asked about it, he was like, I'm not familiar with that. I don't really know what that's about. It's like, whoa, it's listed in your report, blah, blah, blah. So he's supposed to know, like, every source of every fucking thing going on.
Right.
But,
this is Mark Levin.
yeah, this is Mark Levin
Got
here
it.
tweeting about it.
He sounds like a fucking elf.
This has been all of the conservatives' talking point. This is like the main thing they're jumping on, is that he's claiming he doesn't know about this source when he should know about it, which I don't know how much veracity that has, because this Mueller shit, I tuned out a long time ago. Here's another attack. Actually, the main headline on Drudge Report right now, or at least when I pulled these stories, was Mueller sitting on his little panel there. It just says dazed and confused.
I think the audio was not great coming off of the shit. I did notice this, but it didn't come off that he was confused.
So this is their take. Montage. Confused-looking Mueller repeatedly asked for questions to be repeated.
Well, can we see the video of it?
The president committed the crime of obstruction. You could not publicly state that in your report or here today.
Can you repeat the question, sir? You're going to have to repeat that for me. Can you repeat the last part of that question?
Yeah. Which act? Pardon?
Can you read the last question?
The last question was
I want to make certain I got it accurate. I'm sorry, could you restate?
The individual is in fact obligated to provide what's being demanded by the regulation or statute, meaning you don't have any wiggle room, right?
I'd have to look more closely at the statute.
Well, I just read it to you.
And what was the question, sir, if I might?
Correct?
And where are you reading from on that?
I'm reading from my question.
Then could you repeat it?
Okay.
Is that correct on the screen?
Can you repeat the question? And now that I have the language on the screen.
Is it correct?
What was the question?
See, this doesn't.
Can you
This
read the
doesn't
last
come off
question?
to me as dazed or confused.
The last question was-
You understand, this dude is a lawyer. So questions are very important to know the entire context of before you provide an answer or whether or not you provide an answer, especially in this position.
Well, especially in the amount of
So-
scrutiny you're going to get for every answer you give.
He's a prosecutor. He knows how testimony works, and he is going to be absolutely 100% fully clear on the context and syntax of every question he answers from this bench because he knows the power of the record. So this is not a man. This is actually a man that is everything but dazed and confused and is actually doing what you're supposed to do if you're ever giving high-level fucking congressional testimony or testimony in any fucking trial.
Well, it's a tactic. It's all people do rapid fire. They'll say, "Well, here's this question. Now answer it." And then if you don't have an immediate answer,
Well,
it's
these people were asking a lot of testimonial type of questions where it's like the question is wrapped around a testimony or some other assertion of fact. You know what I mean? You know how they are when
and they want
do
you
these
to
congressional
basically
things.
they want them to admit something.
And they want you to give yes or no answers to their questions. And no, like nobody that works in the law is going to ever give that kind of testimony.
They want him to
sitting
go,
in front
you
of a
know what?
panel.
Trump is guilty of obstruction of justice.
Yes.
Yes, he is.
Yes, he is. Yes.
That's what they're looking for. They're
And
not
he
gonna
wasn't
get
going to give them that. And this tactic that he's using, I don't even really call it a tactic.
So-
This idea of clarifying the language of every fucking question is actually really smart.
So this is the take of Grabian News.
I just disagree, dude.
Jumping off the fucking charts
Former
here.
special counsel Robert Mueller frequently appeared confused during his much anticipated
This is clickbait, dude.
Capitol Hill testimony Wednesday. This is the top story on Drudge Report right now. Mueller, who is often celebrated in the media for laser-like thinking, had to ask lawmakers to regularly repeat their questions, seemingly struggling to pay attention.
Oh my God! What an
It's
idiot.
clickbait, dude. That's all this is. It's like, let's put a montage
Dude,
together.
Drudge, you're fucking stupid
and sell
for
this narrative.
leading your website even for a few minutes with this stupid fucking headline.
So this is the Fusion GPS thing I was trying to pull with that Breitbart article before they updated it. I didn't realize it was like one of those like update as the testimony goes things. But this is Robert Mueller said he was not familiar with Fusion GPS. How is that possible? In a perplexing exchange during testimony in the House Judiciary Committee, former special counsel Robert Mueller claimed he was not familiar with Fusion GPS. Mueller's testimony thus far has been mostly an effort by Democrats to highlight the more incriminating elements of the special counsel investigation and get him to verbally refute President Trump's sweeping total exoneration claim. Republicans, on the other hand, have been taking it as an opportunity to vent about their frustrations with the Mueller investigation and his report. Mueller has been mostly deflecting questions by referring members to his report. One odd exchange came when Rep. Steve Shabat, Republican Ohio, tried to bring up Fusion GPS, the opposition research firm that was hired by the Hillary Clinton campaign and the Democratic National Committee to dig up dirt on Trump, and ended up hiring British spy Christopher Steele to compile salacious and unverified information on Trump's ties to Russia. It was expected that Mueller would deflect any questions that get into the early origins of the investigation, but when Chabot asked him about Fusion GPS, he at first suggested he was not even familiar with the group. On page 103 of Volume 2 of your report, when discussing the June 2016 Trump Tower meeting, you reference the firm that produced the Steele reporting. Shabat said, the name of that firm was Fusion GPS. Is that correct? Mueller, looking at a binder with a copy of the report, asked, are you on page 103? Shabat asked again, when you talk about the firm that produced the Steele reporting, the name of the firm that produced that was Fusion GPS. Is that correct? And Mueller responded, I'm not familiar with that. So then the report, this article asks, how is that even possible? It's one thing to argue that he isn't going to answer questions with references to Fusion GPS, But how on earth could he not be familiar with the firm that has played such a key role in the Russia story? So this has been the thing I've heard
It
them
played a
crying
key
about
role. I
all
mean,
day.
I read a lot of news stuff, and this maybe was mentioned, but it was not like a central focus of the Mueller investigation. It was not.
I
Fusion
don't think I've
GPS.
ever heard the term fusion GPS
Well,
until today. I've heard about the Steele dossier and shit.
Yeah,
but
I
I
heard
never,
about that, yeah.
I
They
never
are
heard
the
about
company
Fusion
that was
GPS.
behind compiling the Steele dossier.
Right.
So that's the Steele dossier shit, because a lot of the stuff that was in it was discredited, is a big right-wing deflection point when it comes to this type of shit.
Sure.
You know, the dirty dossier, they call it. You'll hear them.
But
calling
I've never
all the
heard them
time.
to actually reference Fusion GPS. I mean,
Well,
I'm sure they have.
that's because it came up today in an attempt, probably by a Republican senator during Cross, to get him to bring up
Right.
parts of the Steele dossier. And he didn't take the bait because he's smart. It's not a central focus of the investigation or what he was there to fucking testify about, so he didn't say shit about it. Once again, what did you guys think? He was just going to crack? Yeah, you're right. Trump's a fucking total despot. Oh, God.
He's
Yeah,
a Russian puppet.
Fusion GPS cooked up this whole fucking thing, man. Cooked up the whole thing. Before you go anywhere, if you aren't already coming to our meetup Friday, September 6th, 2019 at the Howling Wolf in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Nolan, boy.
Oh my boy!
Then
oh
what
my.
the fuck are you doing with your life? You have two options. You got a $20 option and a $60 option. $60 option is VIP. That means you get to come in like an hour early and chill with us in a smaller group setting.
Free booze.
Wait, oh yeah, that's right. Free booze.
For the VIPs, there's
That's
free
true.
booze.
I mean, how do you turn that down?
Free draft beer. Free well liquor.
Gee willikers, Paul, I just turned 18. I surely can't go, right?
No, absolutely you can go. This is an 18-plus meetup, a highly requested feature that I don't know that we've done many.
Not
18
many.
plus. We've done a couple. So if you're under the drinking age, you just got to get your I'm a Young Kid band on your fucking wrist, and you can come right in if you're 18 plus. Come on in. You can watch everybody else get drunk and hang out with a bunch of neckbeards. And, lest we forget, this is the time to become a patron. There's more shit on your plate as a Pessimist Productions patron now than at any time in the history. We're about to breach 5,000 patrons, which means
But, Paul, I am a serial killer and murder people for a living.
we don't
Can
give
I
a
still
shit.
become a patron?
Absolutely. Your fucking money spends just as well as anybody else's.
Wow.
I'm so hungry for content, Paul. Is there lots of content to feast upon?
Well, listen, you could go to the other meager offerings on your plate and on Patreon, or you could come to the fucking buffet. The most fucking content you're going to get from $5 out of any independent creator. And if you want to call me wrong, I challenge you to show me somebody that works harder than these neckbeards to fill your plate with juicy, heaping piles of steaming, cheesy, gravy-covered content week in and week out. In fact, I'll tell you, if we get one complaint from our patrons, it's no more. I can't eat another bite of steaming, delicious content. But you know what? We funnel it down their fucking throats anyway.
No, please, Paul, not more content.
You eat it, bitch! Come see us in September 6th at the Howlin' Wolf. Link down in the description. Become a patron right now. Link down in the description for that too. Quit living a double life, okay? Come out to your families and friends as a true fucking fan of the best podcast that anyone has ever conceived of, let alone filmed and delivered on a fucking consistent schedule.